And I want to play a video for you now of an incredible conversation I had with an incredible man. And his name is Lord Michael Farmer. And he is in the House of Lords, which is one of our parliamentary bodies here in the UK. And actually, they're responsible for some very, very important legislation. And Lord Farmer has done tireless work when it comes to putting our families first. And Lord Farmer has discovered that if you keep a family structure together, it can save the UK economy up to £50 billion per year. It can reduce crime. It can reduce housing needs in this country. It can reduce the strain on the government when it comes to our social services. So this is a really important piece. And I'm so glad that Lord Farmer came and spoke about some of the issues that were on his mind. One of the biggest ones was Lord Farmer talking about how maybe now is the time to start really holding our digital platforms to task and potentially making sure that they don't break our laws when it comes to freedom of speech. So let me play for you this short clip of Lord Farmer talking about these digital companies and how they must respect our freedom of speech, and if they don't, how regulation is what is necessary. Here he is.
Facebook, Twitter, and I mean, I thankfully I'm not on those things, but that whole social media area, the taking down of people from these sites is, you know, they have this fact check, don't they? All right. Well, who checks the facts and who's making those decisions? And are these social media companies actually publishers? Are they censoring? It seems that way. It looks that way. It probably is that way. And I think governments are waking up to the fact that they are publishers, not just a social media platform. And if they are a publisher, they will be subject to completely different legislation. I think that's coming down the road, and you know, it's something that they need to be aware of.
Yeah, I think you're right, especially when all of those platforms seem to all have the same political persuasion.
I know.
And it slants that way.
I know.
And look, we've seen some antitrust action happening with Google, which might lead to this. Yeah. But I mean, I'll be honest, for 8.5 years, I published conversations online and never had a single problem until April of this year. And now things are regularly censored.
Why is that?
Exactly.
Well, it's a presidential election, that's why.
Yes. And like you said, where do these rules come from? Yeah. And there's a community policy. Yeah. That's very subjective.
Yeah, exactly.
Hate speech, that can be applied to anything.
Yeah, I know.
And like you said, fact checkers, who funds these people. It's actually usually 1 degree of separation from somebody involved in a left-wing supporting group. Do you think government should at some point step in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think they have to. I mean, it is censorship, and the antitrust suit, I mean, the whole area of the social media dominance, it's sort of getting like a sort of Rockefeller Standard Oil type thing, you know, where you're going to have to a breakup of the dominance that's there on the internet. So I think governments, it is the duty of government, actually, because you're actually getting these companies taking over the role of government in some respects, taking powers away from government. And, I think I sense it in Parliament. You know, we have debates, we pass laws and everything else, but actually what's happening? What's happening on social media? That's actually affecting the life outside of here far more than what we're doing in there. You know, well, if you're government, you should be wary of that, because they aren't elected. They aren't elected. They choose themselves, and they impose themselves, their values on us without us asking them to.
Yeah.
And that needs to be challenged.
Yeah. They're more powerful than the governments these days.
Yeah, they are.
And as opposed to the steel industry and the oil industry, and the telecommunications industry, which we broke up in the past, this pervades, your own digital identity.
Exactly.
And our kids these days don't know the difference between their identity and their digital identity. So it's hard to even know how powerful those companies are.
Exactly.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens next.
Yeah.